Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Yashodanandana Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yashodanandana Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Radhika Ramana Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य अज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुवरं श्रीरूपाणं प्रजगात्ससिकं च नारायणं श्रीगुरुचरणं वन्दे कृष्णाय रूपाद्रौपदिनं च नारायण। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु श्री अद्वैत श्री सचिव जय रूप सनातन भक्त रघुनाथ श्री जी गोपाल हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम राम। So as far from my first time to come around the glory of the past spiritual masters, by Shrivan Bhaktivedanta Shri Narayana Krishna Maharaj Shri by Shrivan Bhaktivedanta Shri Maharaj Shri and that was one body of and all Vaishnavas present. Today is a very auspicious tithi. The appearance day of Shri Vansivadana Thakur Shyamananda Prabhu and one disciple of Prabhupada. His name is Bhakti-Vilas Maharaj. And also today is the appearance of Sri Hanuman, the foremost of Sri Ramchandra's associates. And also today is Baladev Prabhu's Rasyatra. So we'll read from Brihad-bhagavatamrita regarding how Baladev Prabhu, why he came to Braj. Because we hear for these 2 months he was in Vrindavan and then he enacted this pastime of the Raslila with the gopis. So then here many questions arise. And did Baladev dance with Krishna's gopis, or why did he have to dance with the gopis in the first place? So many such questions arise. So here we see, normally it is said that generally it is assumed that Krishna, Baladev Prabhu, he had his own set of gopis. He had his own group of gopis. This is the general understanding. That Krishna has his own gopis. So then Baladev, he did not dance with Krishna's gopis, but rather he danced with his own group of gopis. This is the general understanding. But still we see, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he has said that this is only given to satisfy people, to convince people. Actually, Baladev Prabhu, he did not specifically take part in the Raslila. He said that when he went there with the gopis, and he went there in their presence, he told them that just as Krishna appeared amongst all of you when all of you did kirtan and this gopi gita. Similarly, now as well, all of you do kirtan together. And Krishna will appear again. So he had all the gopis sing and dance and glorify Krishna. And then what happened? Krishna himself appeared from Baladev Prabhu and he engaged in this Raslila with all the gopis. So it was not specifically Baladev Prabhu, because Baladev Prabhu he is Ashraya Tattva. In Krishna he is Vishaya Tattva. So we know that Baladev Prabhu, he serves Krishna in so many different forms. He serves him as his elder brother, he serves him as a Tham. Because you see the Tham is a non-different manifestation of Baladev, of his Tham Swarup. He serves Krishna as his bed, as his slippers, as his umbrella, as his shoes, as his brahmanical thread, everything. He serves Krishna in every aspect. As every leaf, every creeper and flower is a manifestation of Baladev. So then there is a question of him being the enjoyer of Vishaya Vastu. Other he is Ashraya. He is Ashraya Bhagavan. So Krishna himself manifests from him. He takes part in this last Leela. So we'll read about him. We'll read about this Leela, how he came to Vrindavan, maybe a little later. But now we'll read about this disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, who he was. So this is what Bhakti Maharaj has said about him. So his name, here it said, his pranam mantra is Namam Vishnu Padaya Gaurvesthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti-Vilas Bharati Goswami Ti Namini. So he was born on this same day as Krishna, as Baladev Prabhu's Vasantaras. Today is also Krishna's Vasantiras. So see, today is also Baladev Prabhu's Rasyatra with the gopis, and it's also the same tithi as Krishna's Raslila with the gopis. So that many tithis coinciding today. So he appeared on this day in West Bengal on this Vishnu Chakri Purnima. And his father's name was Sri Matik Chandra Dasadikari, and his mother was Giri Bala Devi. And he appeared as their son. So when he was only 5 years old, he had the darshan of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur in his dreams. You see here, he was only 5 years old, and Prabhupada appeared to him in his dreams and he blessed him. So then, this was in 1909. And then in 1913, he went to visit Prabhupada in 1923. He went to visit Prabhupada along with his father. And then, when he was only 7 years old, Prabhupada, he gave him this Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. He said, actually when he was in school, there was a quiz, so there was a competition. So he won this competition, and as a prize, he got this Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This was the prize he got. And this even when Gurudev, when he was in school, then he was also in a Sanskrit competition. Means you have to recite as many Sanskrit verses as you could remember. So Gurudev recited so many Sanskrit shlokas. And then as a prize, he got this book on the life of Limbaditya. Limbadacharya, he got this book. And then Gurudev, he was gradually drawn to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He read about the life of Limbaditya, and then when he was in school, like in the 8th or 9th standard, then he read about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all the history books. So since then, he became attracted to the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly here, he received these two books, the Gita and Bhagavad, as a prize. Then he was a very brilliant student. And then, because he was so brilliant in his studies, he would be promoted like 2-3 classes ahead. Like he'd be studying in 5th grade, and rather being promoted to the 6th grade, he'd be promoted to 8th grade in this way. But then he was thinking, what is the use of this material education? Because there's no use here. They're promoting me, they're giving me good marks, but ultimately he had no interest in this. Because our Guru Varga, they have nothing to do with Chaitanya. Because the education that is important nowadays in school, what value does it have? It has no value. No. Like even when Swami Maharaj, he would visit all these universities in the West, which were very, like, if you see now, they are very much respected. Like there's this one university called MIT. You heard of that? That university, even now, everyone says, oh, it's such a great university. Even devotees are trying so much to get into that university. And when Swami Maharaj went there, then he said, you have so many different departments. Departments for civil engineering, architecture, computer engineering, electrical, electronics. He said, all right, you have all these departments. But where is the department of the soul? He said, where is that department? He said, you have all these different things, but where is the very, if there is no soul, the body has no value. And you are doing so many things for the body, but where is that department for the soul? He asked. And he said, if you don't have this, if you're not laying any stress to this Atma Vidya, to this knowledge concerning the soul, then all your knowledge is like zero. It has no value whatsoever. Here also, like Prabhupada, when he was studying in this Calcutta University, this Calcutta University was a huge university during the British rule. It said that the jurisdiction of this university extended all the way from Calcutta to Pakistan, and then through Burma in the east, to Pakistan in the west, and Burma in the east. So it went past Bangladesh, Myanmar, Burma, even Sri Lanka. See the jurisdiction of this university. It went everywhere. It like spanned over 5-6 countries. But still, when Prabhupada went to that university, he saw that the teachers had nothing to offer. No. The teachers will speak on Advaita, Monism. He was thinking, these teachers, what do they know? They have nothing to offer to me. Then what is the use of me learning from them? And he was so brilliant that there was one person called Ashutosh Mukherjee, who was the vice chancellor of the university. So he told Prabhupada that I'll give you this post of the head of department of astronomy because you're so brilliant, because you're so proficient in this book, Surya Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta is a book on astrology. So he told Prabhupada, since you're so brilliant in this, steeped in these teachings of the book, I'll give you this title, this post. And Prabhupada said, no, I have not come to this world to count the stars in the sky. He said, now I come to count the grains of sand. I have come to preach Hari Bhakti. And then Ashutosh Mukherjee said, all right, as long as you're alive, as long as you're physically present in this world, this chair, this post is reserved for you, he said, and not for anyone else. So he kept that post reserved for Prabhupada until 1937, like more than 25 years, maybe 30 years. Because Prabhupada, he disappeared on the 1st of January, 1937. So until then he kept that post reserved for him. He didn't give it to anyone. But still Prabhupada, he gave that easily. They given Paramguru there, when he went to university, there was a course on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There was a course there. So the teachers would speak on Leelas of Mahaprabhu. So then there was one verse which perplexed the teachers very much, which confused them. What was that? Jiva Surboy Krishna Nityadas. Krishna Tatashta Shakti Veda Veda Prakash. There in Kaviraj Goswami, he says that the Jiva is a manifestation of Krishna, simultaneously one and different from him. So then the teachers were explaining this verse, they were very much confused. They were thinking, how can the Jivas be one with Krishna and non-different from him at the same time? How can we reconcile? Because either the Jiva is one with Krishna or it's entirely different from Krishna. There are two considerations. But here they're saying it's simultaneously one and non-different. This we cannot reconcile. Have this doubt in their hearts. So then Paramanda, he explained to them. So the Jiva is like a ray of the sun, and Krishna is like the sun itself. So if you see the ray of the sun has all the qualities of the sun itself. Like a ray gives out light, it emits light. Similarly, the rays of the sun also emit light. Like in this room, now we see the rays of the sun. So similarly, the Jiva also has all the qualities of Bhagavan, but to a minute degree, to a very small degree, infinitesimal degree. And Krishna, he possesses all these qualities to an infinite degree, inconceivable degree. But nonetheless, the qualities of Krishna are also present in the qualities of Jiva. So this way, they are one. And how are they different? The Jiva is very minute, and Krishna is very big. So in this way. So then when Paramguru spoke this explanation to the teachers were so inspired by him. It's just silly, just do it. He's only 16 years old, 15 years old, and he's giving us such deep explanations. So then they very much appreciated his answer. But still, in his heart, Paramguru was thinking, what do these teachers know? I am teaching them. They should be teaching me, but I am teaching them. What is the use of that? What is the use of being under their guidance? So then he left college. So in this way, Maharaj also, he was also thinking that they are promoting me 2-3 classes, but still, where is this Atma Vidya? Where is this knowledge concerning Krishna Bhakti? Where will I get this knowledge? So then, when he was a small boy, he was also a very beautiful poet. He would write very nice poems. Because we see one quality of a Vaishnava, he said, he's a great poet. Means he writes many kinds of literature. If you see Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj has written so many ashtakams in glorification of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in glorification of Prabhupada, in glorification of Jagannath Das Babaji, Lord Krishnadas Babaji, Mahaprabhu. When he wrote this Prabhupada Padmastava, that we sing every day, the Sujanatha Radha. And Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj wrote this and showed it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was happy with it. He said, from now, this should be sung every day in all the temples, he said. This song that he had composed for us. That song was, to this day, sung in all the Gaudiya Maths. Not just by the disciples of Srila Maharaj, not just in his monk, but in our monk as well, in Bhakti Like Maharaj's monk, Bhakti Sarvan Goswami Maharaj's monk. Everywhere this kirtan is sung, because Prabhupada appreciated his poetic genius so much. This is a natural quality for the devotees, because what does a poem signify? It signifies the outpouring of their hearts, the longing in their hearts. These moods of waiting and separation that are always swelling in their hearts, like waves in the ocean. That outpouring takes the form of poems, as kirtans. And if you sing those kirtans that they have written, by following in their footsteps, then you will see that those same realizations that they have expressed in those poems will also be transferred into your heart. The same realizations. Why do we sing all these kirtans? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Thakur, Premanand Thakur, Govindas Kaviraj. What is the need? Because by singing these kirtans again and again, with a sincere attitude, then that particular Vaishnava, his realization, his service, his mood, all those things will also enter our hearts. And we can hope to follow his footsteps and serve Mahaprabhu. And Radha Krishna in the same way. So Pujabhat Maharaj, he was also this very good poet. So then, sometimes he'd be very restless, even when he was a young boy. And he would say, oh, I want to see Prabhupada, I want to see him. Because remember, he was only 5 years old when he had the darshan of Prabhupada. So 5 years old. So he's saying, how can I have the darshan of Prabhupada? Immediately he'd go. So then, even though he was a small boy, even then he would follow all these brothers very strictly. Like Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Janmashtami, all these brothers. Because we hear during Prabhupada's time, they would follow Ekadashi for 3 days, not just 1 day. Normally we follow for 1 day. During Prabhupada's time, his disciples, 1 day before Ekadashi, on Dashami, they would eat only fruits. And then on the next Ekadashi, they would do Nirjala. And then after the day after that, on Dwadashi, they would take a little water to break the fast. And then they would take again little fruits. So 3 days they followed Ekadashi. Like we say, Bhakti Pramapuri Maharaj, he followed Ekadashi until he was 100 years old. He left this world when he was 101 years old. Until the day he left, he followed Ekadashi. Bhakti Pramapuri Maharaj. Exactly like how he did during Prabhupada's time. Bhakti Pramapuri Maharaj. He was very strict follower of Prabhupada. All in Maryada, in discipline, everything. It said that Bhakti Pramapuri Maharaj, even when he would pass urine, he would squat when he would pass. Because normally it is said that when you're passing urine, you should not be standing. You should squat on your knees. And then, this is like Vedic custom. So even when he was like 100 years old, he wouldn't stand. He would squat on his knees and pass. So he said this is stated in the scriptures. Because it said if you're standing and passing urine, it's like passing in the mouth of your ancestors or something. There's some rule like that in the scriptures. There's something like that. So therefore he would squat on his knees and he would pass. In your father's mouth. Oh, you heard that before also. Passing in your father's mouth. So you see here how he was strict. Even Gurudev also, when Gurudev was like very sick in his final fast times, then they requested Gurudev also his sevaks. Hello Maharaj, you followed Ekadashi your whole life. So now maybe you can like relax some of these rules. Means you can maybe take some solid food. Because now you're so sick. So to have your health improve, you'll have to take something to it. You have to follow a healthy diet. Gurudev said no. Following Ekadashi, you don't have. All the others are following them, why can't I as well follow Ekadashi also? That's why Maharaj also was like this, very strict in his adherence, following all these others, following dharma. Sometimes you have to carry huge baskets of coconuts on his head. And you have to carry these huge basket of coconuts and you bring it to the bamboo mat, to Prabhupada's mouth. Because the brahmacharis, they would be so tired, working the whole day, the whole night, serving. So then they needed to refresh themselves. So what would he do? He would carry this basket of coconuts on his head and he would walk all the way from Navadvip and go across the boat, then walk all the way to Chaitanya Math. Chaitanya Math is like 2-3 kilometers to the ghat where the boats like reach. So from there he would walk for 3 kilometers on the hill with all these coconuts on his head. He would offer them to Prabhupada to say. So then Prabhupada, he told all the Bhaktas, just see, it's a small bird, not even like 13-14 years old, he's doing so much. So he told all the Bhaktas that you look after this boy. He told the brahmacharis, think of this boy as a younger brother. He has no one, he's left home, he's left his parents. And he's only 13 years old, 14 years old, he's serving. So you look after this boy, a younger brother. And then Prabhupada, he was so happy with the service that when he was 19 years old, Prabhupada, he gave him Harinam Diksha. He was only 19. Normally at that time, if one would have to receive Harinam Diksha from Prabhupada, he had to wait for many years. Prabhupada did not give Dikshas with him. But here you see, because he was so sincere in his service, then he gave him this Harinam Diksha. And then his name became Seva Vilas as Brahmachari. Means he who delights in Seva to Hari Guru Vaishnavas. Prabhupada was thinking, just see how attentive he is in serving Guru Vaishnavas. He would do all the services in the temple, like singing all the kirtans, Harikatha. And then he would speak in English and Bengali. So everyone's hearts would melt. Let's see, who is this one? Teenager. When you're 19, you're still a teenager. This teenager, let's see, speaking such profound Harikatha, such deep Harikatha. And then we see that there was this one deity of Jagannath Mishra called Adoksaj Vasudev. So we know that when Bhaktivinoda Thakur discovered the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, there they found the Mridanga that Chandkasi had broken. It was buried beneath. And also they found this deity of Jagannath Mishra. There was one particular deity that Jagannath Mishra worshipped. Who is Jagannath Mishra? The father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this deity was called this Adoksaj Vigraha, the four-handed form of Vishnu. So he used to worship this deity, and this deity was also found beneath. And they were like digging up the land for the foundation of the temple. So then the service of this deity was also established in the temple. So here, for Maharaj, the service of this deity was life and soul. Prabhupada, he gave him this seva that he look after this deity, offer bhoga, do abhishek, do archan, and all these things. So then, after Prabhupada left this world, then he was the in charge of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he went preaching all around India. And then in 1940, he received sannyas from Pujyapat Bhakti Gurudev Shauti Goswami Maharaj. And then he was known as Srimad Bhakti Vilas Bhakti Goswami Maharaj. So Bhakti Gurudev Shauti Maharaj is a very senior disciple, sannyas disciple of Prabhupada. Also a very bosom friend of Gurudev. If you read the Bhagavad Patrikas, the old ones published in the 50s and 60s, 1950s, 1960s, you can see Shauti Maharaj has written so many articles in Hindi. He was Gurudev's beloved Siksha Guru. Like I was reading this article of his, the recent one I'm reading. Then he's given a summary of all the Upanishads. He has summarized all the Upanishads and he has written like a series of articles. It's so beautiful. Like the one I'm reading now, he has summarized as Prashna Upanishad. This Prashna Upanishad means all the rishis are asking one very realized personality, many questions. And then in another article, he has summarized Mundaka Upanishad. In another article, he has summarized Chandogya Upanishad. In another article, he has summarized the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. All these Upanishads, he has summarized them because the Upanishads are very difficult to understand. They're not easy. They're all very darshnik, very philosophical. So he has summarized all them so beautifully. He has also given the essence of the Gita. So he is a very learned Vaishnava. So he took sannyas from him, Bhakti Gurudev Shauti Maharaj. And then he would himself collect whatever funds were needed, and then he would publish books. So I have seen some of his books as well. He has summarized all the teachings of Mahaprabhu, the life of Mahaprabhu. He has summarized the Bhagavatam. He has summarized the Ramayana. He has published so many books in Bengali as well. But in English, no, it's not. Only in these languages. So then, he also established temples in Bhubaneswar, Jagannath Puri, Kolkata. And then he was thinking that I want to spend the last part of my life in Mayapur. So then as soon as you enter Mayapur, you'll see his temple. As soon as you enter inside, his temple is on the left. Very beautiful temple. As soon as you enter inside, you can see his samadhi there also. I met one of his disciples once. Very sweet disciple. I would always go to his temple. And I was in Navadip. Like whenever I would visit Mayapur, I would go to his temple. So there, one day, he had a dream. So the name of his temple is called Rupa Bhajanashram. So then, one day, Radha and Krishna themselves appeared to him in a dream. And they said, now kindly install us here in a deity form and continue our service. So then, he would himself collect wood from here and there. And then he would only use the water of the Ganga. And then he would use these pots that were made from the mud of the Ganga. Because Prabhupada, he had specifically instructed his disciples that whatever vegetables are grown in the dham, use only those vegetables to cook sabjis and to offer to Mahaprabhu. Whatever rice is grown in the dham, use that same rice to offer to Mahaprabhu. Because Mahaprabhu is very fond of those things that are grown in the dham. So then Maharaj, even though he was so old, still he himself, he didn't have many disciples. He himself would go collect all these vegetables, he would collect dry wood, and he would only use the water from the Ganga to cook. No, he wouldn't use any filtered water, nothing. Just go to the Ganga, take a pot of water on his shoulders, bring it to the temple, and use the water to wash the rice, and to cook the rice and sabji, and everything else. And then he would offer to Mahaprabhu. And then he would only take prasad once, that's all. And then he told his godbrothers that now I'm going to leave my body on such and such day. And after he told his godbrothers, he had a meeting. And then he told his godbrothers that if I enter into Samadhi, then guide me and put me in Samadhi. And then he entered into Samadhi in 1995. That evening, 4:45, he entered into Samadhi. So let's see what was one talking about. See, this is deity. Very beautiful deity. You can see his pictures here as well. See, this is picture. You see, these disciples of Prabhupada, they had nothing. They had no money, they had no resources, they had nothing. Until the only thing they possessed was Guru Nishtha. It was their Nishtha, their service to their spiritual master. And because of this very Nishtha, you see how they preached everywhere. Because Prabhupada blessed them, although they had nothing. So, here, let's see what he said. So today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivilas Bharati Goswami Maharaj, a dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In the earlier years, Maharaj used to stay in Bhubaneswar. Because in Bhubaneswar also, Prabhupada, he established a temple there called Tridandi Gaudiya Math. Because during Prabhupada's time, he established 64 temples all over India. Like recently, yesterday, I was speaking to one devotee. He visited this temple of Prabhupada in Delhi, in South Delhi, which is a very affluent area. It's a very luxurious place. There at that time, Prabhupada had established a temple. The same deities that he had installed by his own hands, one can have darshan. And if you see, all these temples that Prabhupada had built, all these temples were built like in the most remote places of the city. So then some disciples would ask him, saying, "Oh, Prabhupada, they're building all these temples here, and not many people are even residing. So maybe we can go to some other place where there are more people." And Prabhupada said, "No, we'll see in the future, so many people will come and stay here." And true to his word, every single temple that he built, later that became the center of the city. Every temple, every Gaudiya Math, every place became right in the center there. in Chennai, in Kashi, Varanasi, in Mumbai, in Delhi, and in all these different places. That temples built right in the city center. People start coming down. Like even when Swami Maharaj, in Bhubaneswar, when he went there, then this temple, the land that was occupied, the land that was gotten for the temple, that was like in the forest. Some disciples of Swami Maharaj, they were saying, "Oh, Prabhupada, no need to build temple here. Who's going to come here? It's a forest. Only therefore it's a normal city here. We'd rather go and build a place somewhere else. Find a nice place somewhere else and build a temple." And Prabhupada said, "No. You'll see in the future, this place will become the city center. You'll see your own self." And like 5-6 years after the temple was built, that place became so famous, called Nayapalli. Even the highway is present there. And anyone who goes to Bhubaneswar is bound to have darshan of this temple. Because that place is right on the highway. And so Prabhupada also had this speciality of building temples right in the middle of the city. So then, Maharaj was staying in Bhubaneswar and then he moved to Jagannath Puri. And once he became very unwell and he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. So we know tuberculosis is a very severe ailment. If you don't, people can even die. This tuberculosis is not treated immediately. So one day he had this tuberculosis. On hearing of this, then Bhakti Madhav Maharaj, he invited him to stay with him at Kolkata. Because Madhav Maharaj, he has so much affection for his godbrothers. If any of his godbrothers would be sick, he'd engage his own disciples in the service of his godbrothers. He'd tell his disciples, "Go and serve my Guru Bhai." And he warned his disciples, "Don't think that there's any difference between them and me. Don't think that because I'm your spiritual master and they are not, that you should be complacent in your seva. That you may think, oh, why should I serve them? They're not my spiritual master." Don't think this way. Think of them as not different from me. Madhav Maharaj would sternly give this warning, and he would send so many of his disciples to help them. And Bhakti Sarvasya Giri Maharaj, when he fell sick, Madhav Maharaj personally had his disciples serve him. Bhakti Prakash Sharanya Maharaj, when he fell sick, Madhav Maharaj had him serve. Even when Swami Maharaj also Prabhupada, when he fell sick in Vrindavan, when Madhav Maharaj he found out, then he engaged his disciples in his seva. So many of his godbrothers. So then, here Bhakti Maharaj is saying that he had the opportunity to serve Maharaj at that time. And then he took him to an Ayurvedic physician who eventually cured him. So that doctor who cured Maharaj was a Srikanda Vasi, coming from the lineage of Mahaprabhu's devotees from Srikanda. So we know that in Srikanda, Raghunandan Thakur, his father Mukunda, they were all Ayurvedic physicians. In fact, Mukunda was an Ayurvedic physician for a Muslim, is Nawab. So a descendant of that very family was also an Ayurvedic doctor. And he cured Maharaj of this ailment, of this illness. The Srikanda Vasis were renowned doctors and had amazing ways to cure patients. Mahaprabhu said those who are mercifully treated for their illnesses by the residents of Srikanda would be cured not only of their material disease, but of the disease of material existence as well. Mahaprabhu, see here. Mahaprabhu would say anyone who received medicine from their hands would not only be cured of this sansar, but he would also achieve prema. So then, Bhakti Maharaj built a mutt in Mayapur called Ruparu Bhajanashram. He also participated in Brajvardhan Parikrama, Navadvip Dham Parikrama. So when he was constructing his temple in Mayapur, he wanted to locate his bhajan kutir on the front side, which was next to the main road. His reasoning was that that way he could easily get darshan of devotees. So he wanted to build a temple right next to the street. What is that road called in Mayapur? It's called Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Road. The road leading up all the way to Mahaprabhu's birthplace in Ganga that goes to his car. That's called Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Road. So Maharaj, he said, I want to build a temple right next to this place so that I can see all these devotees. See here, he's an advanced Vaishnava himself, and he has this desire in his heart. And I wish to see all the devotees. Why? Because when they're walking on the streets, their foot dust will come and decorate my head. He said. Because Maharaj is such a senior Vaishnava, if he would go and ask someone for their foot dust, they would not give it. They would say, Maharaj, what are you saying? You're such a senior disciple of Prabhupada, and you want us to give you foot dust. No, you want to touch our feet? Never, they'll say. So they say, all right, if you don't want to give me, then I'll just sit here on the side of the road. And they said, naturally, all the dust that is like coming from the ground will come and cover my body. See how humble he was. Even in his old age, he was saying, I desire the foot dust of the devotees. So then he started staying there. And day and night, he wrote many scriptures. He started printing them. He printed a lot of valuable books. He would serve the deities of the month, even in his old age. So even though he was so old, still he would do the action himself, offering himself, everything. And in this way, his service always continued. So then, he was seeing that Maharaj, he labored so hard to stop all those unwanted activities and disturbances in Mayapur. So then he was seeing in Mayapur, many people, they were selling meat. So he was saying, what is this? This is Mahaprabhu's birthplace, and all these people are selling meat. So he would go and warn them, don't do this. This is Mahaprabhu's dham. You don't have so much sense. They're selling meat here, stop this, he would say. And if any materialistic people would come, he would warn them, don't speak Prajalpa to each other. Just speak Vaidata to each other, he would say. And then when people would come, they would bathe in the Ganga and they would do many bad things. And Maharaj said, what are you doing? You come here to enjoy the dham, don't do this, serve the dham. So there was one shop which used to sell chicken. So then Maharaj, he went and chastised the shopkeeper. How can you sell chicken? How can you sell meat here? Even during Gurudev's time in Mathura, right beside the temple, there was one person who would sell eggs. And there would be very foul smell. You can imagine you're boiling eggs and you're selling. The smell is so horrible. So then Gurudev went and requested this person, hey, why are you selling eggs? The temple is right here. Don't do this. Why are you disturbing the devotees? That person would not listen. And Gurudev, he went and requested one person from the BHP. The BHP is like a Hindu organization. So then this person came and he warned that person very sternly, strictly. If you do something like this again, then we'll lock you up in the police station. Then that person he stopped from selling eggs. So people are always like this. They don't care. They don't want to disturb the sadhus. They want to disturb the sadhus by selling so many things. Even wine right next to the temple, meat shops. And Maharaj, even though he was so old, he was very uncompromising. He had all these shops stopped at business. So you see here, he filed a petition in High Court to curtail such activities. He went to the Calcutta High Court and he said, please help me, stop all these people from Mayapur. Stop all these people from polluting Mayapur, he said. And then when the new restrictions were approved, all the tourists were barred entry to the sacred land of Mayapur 4 or 5 miles away from its boundary. So many tourists were coming in and they were basically doing many bad things in the town. So Maharaj went to the High Court and he said, if they continue doing such nonsense, then you must make sure that they will not even enter inside the town. They are not worthy of even having darshan of the town. Such nonsense people. So then you see many of the tourists, they were stopped 4 or 5 miles from the boundary of Mayapur. And then he even sought assistance from the Delhi police. He said, please help me. And then he had a huge sign in the Navadvip railway station. As soon as one would get off the train, they would see a huge board there. There it was written, by the order of the High Court, it is prohibited to have picnics from here onwards. So this would be a Maharaj hearings and no one would enjoy the town. So as soon as they would get out of the train, they would see that huge sign there. So don't enjoy in the town. And if anyone was suspected to be coming there for a picnic with vessels and other paraphernalia, they would be taken for interrogation by the police guard who was stationed there. See how strict he was. Police would be waiting outside the train and they would check everyone's bags. And they would say, oh, do you have any pots, any things? You want to cook meat there? They'd say, come here, and they're going to interrogate them. And even maybe arrest them. Such was his Nishtha. He said, as long as I live, I will not allow my Gurudev's holy land to be polluted by materialistic activities. See how he was. He said, as long as I'm breathing, I'll make sure that Mayapur Dham will always be pure. Because Prabhupada began his preaching in Mayapur Dham. Mayapur is Mahaprabhu's birthplace. He was thinking, how can people eat meat, consume alcohol here? How can they enjoy it? He said, I will never allow any of this. In this way, he served his Guru Maharaj's mission so much. So today is his appearance day. So I was thinking, Since today is Baldev Prabhu's Rasyatra, we'll just read a little from Brihad-bhagavatamrita. Because here, Sanatana Goswami, he has described why Baldev Prabhu came to Vrindavan in the first place. So here, let's read the backdrop. So then we know that once Krishna, he was very sick. He was just sleeping the whole time. So then the queens of Krishna, they went and complained. They said, why is Krishna not waking up? What is the reason? No. So then Mother Rohini, like who's the mother of Baladev Prabhu, she started explaining the reason why Krishna is not waking up. So then here, let's read from here. Like you see, when Narada Rishi, he went to all the different devotees wanting to know the glories of the Brajavasis. So when he went to Ugrasen, he sent Narada to Uddhav. He told Narada Rishi to go to Uddhav. Uddhav is a very dear friend of Krishna. He will describe the glories of the Brajavasis to you. And when Narada Rishi went to Uddhav, and Uddhav said, oh, I was with the Brajavasis for 6 months. And I came and tried to convince Krishna to go to Vrindavan, but still he did not listen to me. Why does he not go? No. So then Narada Rishi, he went to Krishna. And there, Krishna, he was pretending that he was sick. So then, hearing the words of Narada, Uddhav quickly arose and took the lotus foot dust of Narada on his heart, and he embraced him. Understanding the intent of his heart, he began to cry out of anxiety. He recalled the devotees who received Krishna's topmost mercy and wealth of prema from such devotees. So Uddhava told Narada that, oh Narada Rishi, Brajavasis, they love Krishna so much, and Krishna also loves them. But still I cannot understand why he is not going to Vrindavan. I cannot reconcile in my heart. Because a person, he wants to stay in that place where he is loved the most. And Krishna, he is loved the most by the Brajavasis. But still he does not want to go there. I cannot fathom, I cannot understand. So then, Krishna, he was listening to all these words that Uddhava was speaking. So then Uddhava, as he spoke about the Brajavasis, he fell on the ground unconscious. Then anyhow, Baladev Prabhu, he held him on his lap and he made him stand. So then Narada Rishi, Uddhava began to speak. He said, oh Narada, oh best of the great sages, let me tell you something very confidential. He said, after going to Braj, my ego, as the most fortunate person, has been shattered to pieces. Because Narada, if you see in the first volume of Brihad-bhagavatamrita, he is visiting all the different devotees and he's glorifying them, saying, you are the best recipient of Krishna's mercy. You are. First he went to this Brahmin, and then he went to a king in South India, then he went to Indra, then he went to Brahma, then he went to Shiva, then he went to Prahlad, then he went to Hanuman, then he went to the Pandavas, then he went to the Dwarkavasis, then he went to Ugrasen. So he was glorifying each and every one of them, saying, you are the best recipient of this mercy. And that devotee would say, no, not me. Go to this person, such and such person. And he would be led to another person. So then when he was led to Uddhava, where the Yaduvanshi is, and Uddhava said, yes, I am the recipient of Krishna's mercy. I am his greatest recipient. But still, when I went to Vrindavan and then I saw the prema of the Brajavasis, I realized that my prema is nothing in comparison to the Brajavasis. It is like zero. Because Uddhava, when he saw Nanda and Yashoda, he saw how Yashoda has become blind by crying in separation from Krishna. She had become blind. In fact, once, Yashoda Maya, she tied all the toys and clothes of Krishna in a bundle. And she put it on her shoulders and she started walking out of Nanda Bhavan in the middle of the day. But it was very hot. So then, as she was walking out with this huge bundle of toys and clothes of Krishna, then all the Brajavasis, they started asking Mother Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, where are you going? Then she said, I'm going to Mathura. And they said, why are you going to Mathura? And she said, because I'm going to serve devotee there. And what do you have in that bag? Saying, I have all the toys of Krishna, the clothes of Krishna. Then, what will you do serving devotee there? She said, I'll serve devotee from morning to night. And if needed, 24 hours a day. And I only ask her for one thing. What is that one thing? That she lets me see her son. For a moment, for 1 second, she lets me have darshan of her son. See here, Yashoda is not even saying my son. saying that she lets me have darshan of her son. No. Because Yashoda, the heart is so selfless, she's thinking that if Krishna is happy by Devaki's service, then let him stay in Mathura. And let her be his wife. He's happy by that. But still, I will serve Devaki the whole day and I only ask for this one blessing. She allows me to see her for one moment. And as she spoke these words, she fell unconscious. So Uddhava, you see all these things. Like we see once even Krishna, when he had received this Uparayam and he had received the sacred Brahmin thread, then the custom is that after a person receives the sacred Brahmin thread, he has his cloth, he has to take this cloth out and he has to take Bhiksha from everyone. People will give something, there's jewelry. He goes everywhere collecting Bhiksha. So then previously, Mother Yashoda, she had told Krishna that when you receive this Brahmin thread, I will fill your cloth with so many jewels and so many nice things. So when Krishna received this Brahmin thread, he was going everywhere. He's saying, Mother, Mother, where are you? You promised me that day in Vrindavan, in Nandagaon, that you fill my cloth with so many jewels. But then, I don't see you anywhere. And Devaki was saying, what is he saying, this boy? So then whenever Krishna would go looking for Mother Yashoda, Devaki would be standing there. So many gifts to offer to her son. But then Krishna, he just look away. He not even look at Devaki. He just look away and walk away. Then again she would stand there in that direction. And again she would give him something. And again she would walk away. This way, Krishna then looking for Mother Yashoda, calling out to her. He said, oh Mother, Mother, Mother. He fell unconscious. So you see here, on one side, Mother Yashoda in separation from her son Krishna, she is falling on the throne unconscious. And on the other side, Krishna is falling on the throne unconscious. So Uddhava was seeing all these things. Then he was thinking, oh, just see the prema of the Brajavasis. Just see Nanda Baba. He doesn't realize that Krishna is God himself. He's only crying for Krishna, thinking he's only his son. Just see the gopis. They become mad in separation from Krishna. Radharani is not eating anything. She is not even drinking water. Since Krishna has left Vrindavan and gone to Mathura. So I was thinking, how can this be prema? He was thinking, he's thinking, if prema is like this, then prema, one should be so happy. One should be weeping tears of joy. No, when one is relishing these waves of prema. Here I see the Brajavasis are only weeping. All day, all night, they are only weeping. Now what is this? You cannot reconcile. So then he left Vrindavan. He was thinking, how can this stay in Vrindavan? They are only weeping this whole time. Weeping, crying and crying. And I also he was thinking, I want to stay here longer. So then he's saying, after I went to Vrindavan, my pride was shattered. I was the greatest devotee of Krishna. I have come to know the wonderful sweetness of Krishna by that experience. His mercy, his affection, and the recipients of his mercy. So he's saying, now I realize the glories of Krishna's sweetness only by the mercy of the Brajavasis. So then, blessed by the darshan of those Brajavasis,
Благословленным этими даршанами Браджаваси, Бхагаван, я думаю, прослал полную милость мне. Кришна послал меня во Врадж из Мадхуры. Я чувствую, что он пролил таким образом полную милость мне, потому что однажды Уха стоял во дворце, и он видел воду, которая текла с неба. Уddhava думал, сегодня все ясное, небо ясно, откуда дождь идет. А когда он присмотрелся, он увидел, что Кришна стоял на крыше и смотрел в сторону севера, потому что Вриндаван в сторону севера от Мадхуры. Кришна смотрел в ту сторону и плакал. И тогда Кришна схватил... И тогда Уddhava схватил Кришну за руку. О, друг, почему ты плачешь? Я плачу в разлуке с Враджаваси. Я думаю о всех Враджаваси, о моей матери, о моих гопи, о моих друзьях, о телятах и о коровах. Они не пьют молоко. Телята не пьют молоко с тех пор, как я оставил этот Вриндаван. Их коровы не едят траву, мать и отец ничего не делают. О, Уddhava, у меня есть одна просьба к тебе. Милостиво отправляйся во Вриндаван и успокой Враджаваси. Уddhava думал, зачем мне отправляться туда, оставляя твое общества. И тогда ему Кришна сказал: в Мадхуре я присутствую только частично, но если ты отправишься во Вриндаван, то увидишь, что я там полностью присутствую. Моя полная форма там присутствует. И тогда Удхава согласился отправиться во Вриндаван. И когда он приехал, он увидел, что первое видение ему было, что Кришна играет со всеми друзьями, с Гопи, с Кришной, с мамой Ишодой и Надой. И тогда он осознал: Кришна сам не уехал из Вриндавана, поскольку Кришна в Бхагавад-гите сам говорит: я не выхожу из Вриндавана. И потом это видение исчезло, и он Вриндаван другим. Как в Враджавасе страдают разлуки с Кришной. И он опять увидел этих телят и коров, которые не едят и ничего не делают. Мама и Шода плачут, ничего не готовят. И здесь Удхава говорит: когда я увидел прему в Враджавасе, я понял, что Кришна пролил на меня огромную милость, когда послал туда. Как только я отправился во Врадж, я утонул в океане блаженства. Каждый знает, как я прославляю в Враджавасе. Удхава сам молится, он перевод молитву. Удхава говорит: позвольте мне родиться травой во Вриндаване, тогда я получу пыль со стоп гопи, одной определенной гопи. Какой гопи? Шримати Радхарани. И моя жизнь станет совершенной. Удхава очень сильно прославляет в Враджавасе. И когда Удхава прославлял Рахини Деви, Рахини стояла рядом, она мать Баладева. Рахини также плакала. Рахини сказала Удхава: успокойся. Рахини отчитал его: успокойся, не говори. Не думай. Когда я думаю, Рахини сказала, о разлуке в Враджавасе, которые они испытывают, и я страдаю. Почему? Потому что Рахини Деви, она сама в Враджавасе, она много лет прожила во Вриндаване. Почему ты мне напоминаешь мне о Враджавасе? Не заставляй меня так страдать. Не напоминай мне о беспокойствах в Враджавасе, которые тонут в океане разлуки. Не напоминай мне о том, что они страдают, а ты оставил их. Они горят в огне разлуки, в океане яда разлуки. Как когда меня привезли во Врадж, я видела разлуку матери Ишоды, и в это время камни. Пока когда я была во Вриндаване, и Кришна уехал в Мадхуру, даже молнии разваливались на части от ее скорби. Обычно молнии очень сильно, они могут даже камни дробить. Поэтому я не знаю, гопи живы или нет сейчас. Мне кажется, что они умерли. Удхава, после того, как Кришна завершил свое обучение и вернулся в Мадхуру из школы Сандипани Муни, я поговорил с ним. Рахини говорит, когда Кришна съездил в Уджейн, где он учился в школе Сандипани Муни и вернулся обратно, я сказала Кришне, отправляйся обратно во Врадж. Враджавасе страдают в разлуке с тобой, почему ты не отправляйся обратно? Однако, услышав мои слова, Кришна не изменил свое мнение. Несмотря на то, что мы обсуждали с ним страдания в Враджавасе, он согласился поехать обратно. И вместо того, чтобы поехать во Врадж, он послал тебя, Удхава. Почему ты говоришь, что это милость, которую Кришна проливает на Враджавасе? Он должен был сам поехать туда, но он не поехал. И вместо этого он послал тебя во Врадж. Кришна был сегодня очень занят в Враджавасе, но
They love Krishna more than even their own lives.
Враджаваси любят Кришну больше своей жизни, но любит ли их Кришна? В ответ также.
So first think about what you're saying.
Удхава, подумай, что ты говоришь.
Please hear what I have
Поэтому
witnessed. When Krishna came to Brahma,
послушай, что я видел своими глазами, когда Кришна
so Mother Rohini is saying, before Krishna was born, the Vrajavasis were saying,
родился во Врадже,
no demon ever came.
много демонов стало приходить во Врадж. До тех пор, пока Кришны не было, демоны никогда не приходили в Врадж. Но как только Кришна родился, стали демоны приходить. В 3 дня, когда Кришна пришла Путана и другие демоны. Он перечисляет всех.
So many demons came and they started troubling the
И
Vrajavasis.
стали беспокоить Враджаваси.
We see, why did Indra become so
Почему Индра так разгневался на Враджаваси? Тоже из-за Кришны. Потому что Кришна сказал Враджаваси: не поклоняйтесь Индре, поклоняйтесь Гирираджу. И Индра настал страшные дожди и молнии. А Шанка чудо, что хотел сделать? Он хотел уграть Гопи, тоже Кришнины. Когда Нанда Баба ходил в Ямуна, у вас что случилось? Божество океана украло Нанда Бабу, и потом пытался сожрать Нанда Бабу. Разве были такие страдания до того, как Кришна родился? Только после того, как Кришна родился, все страдания стали приходить одно за одним. Иногда. Также случались какие-то необъяснимые явления, как 2 дерева-близнеца разлетелись в разные стороны. Но несмотря на то, что такие вещи стали происходить, ни один Враджаваси ни на секунду не задумался о том, что это происходит из-за рождения Кришны. Они никогда так не думали. Фактически, когда все эти вещи происходили, они молились Вишну, Бхагавану: Шиви Тхакур, пожалуйста, защити нашего сына Кришну. Мамрахини рассказывает это Удхаве. И после этого Враджаваси, они все время были очарованы красотой Кришны, несмотря на то, что они очень сильно страдали. Они были очарованы красотой. У Враджаваси такая естественная према. Они все, что у них было, отдавали ради счастья Кришны. Кришна жил во Врадже ради своего эгоистического интереса. И когда его эгоистические интересы завершились, выполнены были, какой смысл ему там было оставаться? Это сам Удхава говорит. Кришна жил во Врадже ради своих эгоистических корыстных целей. И когда эти задачи были выполнены, он отправился в Мадхуру Дварку. Так Удхава сказал. И услышав эти слова Рахини, Падмавати, мать Камсы, вылезла. Она стала ругать Рахини. Сказала: Рахини, что ты такое говоришь? Враджаваси, они такие бессердечные. Когда Кришна был маленький, они выгнали Кришну на улицу без тапочек, с коровами, и сказали ему пасти. Чтобы поддержать себя, он вынужден был воровать еду в домах других. И Шода его не кормила. Падмавати начала искать недостатки во Враджаваси, в том, как они воспитывали Кришну. И гопи кричали на Кришну, ругали его. А Кришна терпел, оправдываясь, что он сделал. Падмавати говорит Рахини: ты прославляешь Враджаваси, но я утверждаю, что Враджаваси, они жестокие. Он был ребенком, его заставляли работать, тяжело пасти коров, не кормили, он такой худой был, он не ходил с зонтиком и в тапочках. Враджаваси, ты говоришь, они следили за ним? Но почему Кришна не носил тапочки? Однажды мама еще спросила Кришну: давай, одевай тапочки и бери зонтик. Но Кришна поставил условие: если ты для всех 9 лаков коров тапочки наденешь, и для каждой коровы зонтик, тогда я тоже возьму. А иначе как я буду ходить зонтиком? Мы служим коровам, а моя любовь к коровам, она больше, чем любовь к себе самому. Таким образом, Падмавати пыталась найти недостатки в Кришне. И тогда Парикша сказал Рахини, была очень разумная, и она не стала слышать Падмавати и продолжила. Рахини подумала: кто эта старушка беззубая? Она чего она говорит? И Рахини продолжила: убивая демонов, Кришна уехал в Мадхуру и стал наслаждаться положением царя Удхава. Кришна победил всех демонов, полубогов, полубоги приходили, предлагали ему поклоны. А теперь он даже не помнит Враджаваси. Рахини обычно говорил Удхаве, что Кришна сейчас царь Двараки. Он забыл Враджаваси. Теперь он думает, я царь царев. Даже полубоги приходят и предлагают мне пранамы. Зачем мне нужно помнить Враджаваси? Так рассуждала Рахини. Они простые деревенские жители, у них нет образования, а я царь, и у них нет положения. Какой смысл мне думать о них? И тогда, когда Рахини говорила эти слова Рукмини, Рукмини стала говорить: «О, мать Рахини, зачем ты так говоришь? Сердце Кришны, оно мягкое, как масло. Не говори такие вещи, не будь жестокой. Даже во сне Кришна иногда, знаете, зовет гопи». Рукмини сказал: когда мы спим на кровати, Кришна плачет во сне, и его подушка становится мокрой, вся кровать становится мокрой. И что говорить о том, что он зовет коров? Что говорить о том, что он зовет своих гопи? Он зовет коров в разлуке. Иногда он хватает мою одежду и начинает дергать ее и говорит: «О, Рады, о, Лалиты, о, Вишаки, почему вы так гневаетесь на меня? Будьте довольны мной». И иногда, еще не проснувшись, он принимает форму Трибанга Лалита, изогнутую в 3 местах. А иногда во сне он зовет маму: «Майя, Майя, дай мне масло, масло». И иногда он говорит: «О, Рада, о, Лалиты». «О, Чандравали, что ты делаешь ты?» И когда он спит, он заливает подушку потоками слез. Иногда он зовет своих гопи. И слыша, что в такой разлуке Кришна плачет, в такой разлуке с Враджаваси, наши сердца тоже тают. Даже вот этой ночью Кришна увидел сон, и он так обеспокоился, что он стал плакать, и он закрыл свое лицо своей утарией. Рукмини сказала: «О, мать, а ты говоришь, что у него нет любви к Враджаваси, но что это, то, что мы наблюдаем? День и ночь он плачет по Враджаваси. И сейчас он даже не встает с кровати, нет усилий встать с кровати от этой разлуки. Слушая эти слова, Сатьябама, она немножко завидливой стала. Почему Рукмини прославляет Враджаваси, особенно почему она так сильно прославляет гопи, она немножко завидливой стала. И она сказала: Рукмини, почему ты говоришь, что он видит только Враджаваси во сне? Даже когда он, проснувшись, что он говорит? Что говорить о том, чтобы помнить о гопи? Даже служанки этих гопи более дороги ему, чем мы. Даже манджари, кинкари, они больше дороги ему, чем мы. Миллионы раз дороги больше, чем мы. Это сказал Сатьябама. И тогда Парикшам сказал: слушай эти слова цариц Баладев Прабху жизни, душа всех живых существ. Он начал гневно говорить. Баладев сказал: о, молодые женщины, мы тут обсуждаем положение Враджаваси, а Кришна притворяется, что он спит. Смотрите, вы описываете страшные страдания Враджаваси в разлуке, а Кришна, посмотрите, он, Баладев Прабху говорит, притворяется, что он спит. Он говорит, что он думает об Враджаваси, но он сейчас продолжает спать. Баладев Прабху говорит, я жил во Врадже 2 месяца, и там была Рассалила. Но я только я сказал им слова успокоения, что Баладев Прабху сказал им: не беспокойтесь, я скоро привезу Кришну. Но я знаю, что никто не может спасти Враджаваси, кроме Кришны, поэтому я дал им много обещаний, что я перевезу Кришну. И с большим трудом я вернулся в Двараку. Враджаваси не хотели отпускать меня. Вернувшись сюда, я сказал: Кришна, мой брат, отправляйся обратно во Врадж, во Вриндаван, и защищай жизни, спаси жизни Враджаваси. Баладев так настаивал: Кришна, отправляйся. А Кришна в какой-то момент согласился: ладно, все, я еду. И все равно. Только словами он сказал это, но у него нет желания в сердце ехать. Он мне пообещал, что поедет, и не поехал. Услышав это, Кришна быстренько встал с постели и начал плакать еще громче, и вышел из своей комнаты. Кришна вроде как спал. Как только Балдев сказал эти слова, он убрал свою одежду и начал плакать и ушел из своей комнаты. И Кришна сказал Удхаве: мое сердце, оно сломалось. Мое сердце, оно сделано из молнии, но сейчас оно раскрошилось. Почему я не поехал во Врадж? Враджаваси вырастили меня, но я забыл о них. Что говорить о том, чтобы просто поехать, я много доставил боли Враджаваси. Я такой жестокий. Удхва, ты знаешь все, что мне сейчас делать, Ты знаешь все. И тогда Деваки, она произнесла слова, она сказала: уже немножко поздно, мы остановимся здесь, и завтра мы продолжим. Что Деваки сказала, это очень замечательное объяснение. Завтра мы послушаем эту лилу о том, что Деваки сказала Кришне. И остановимся здесь. Слушайте настроение Враджаваси. И говоря об этом, Шрила Гурудев, он плакал. Я помню, Гурудев рассказывал эту катху в 2002 году в Мадхуре, в Рупасанатане Гауди Матхе. Когда он говорил об этих лилах, он плакал все время. Для нас это только слова, эти все игры. Кое-что мы испытываем, но не так много. Но Гурудев, когда он говорил это, больше и больше он плакал. Все время, когда он говорил, он вытирал тарьей свои глаза. Все время. Можно посмотреть видео, он убирал очки и вытирал глаза. Это то, что Гурудев пришел дать этому миру, настроение Враджаваси, поэтому мы так удачливы, то, что мы принимаем у него прибежище. Какая часть Брихад-бхагаватамрита это? Это первая часть Брихад-бхагаватамриты. И глава? Последняя глава. Последняя глава, которая рассказывает о Наве Вриндаване. Мы завтра почитаем об этих лилах. Завтра. Остановимся здесь.
Дай